I know I keep banging on about this bloody powerful question, but it is so bloody powerful because what would you love for your life? Not Joe Smith or what my old teacher said about me or what my parents always wanted for me. It's what you would love. And if you can really hone in on that, oh my God, all of a sudden life gets a hell of a lot easier because you're going after something that is your uniqueness, your unique skill, your unique expression, because we all have this beautiful expression that is unique to us.
Hey, that was the amazing Wayne Forrest, such an inspiration. He is a life mastery consultant, and I'm Anthony Harcher, your host of Me&my Health Up. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist, and this episode today is on balance. So it's all about how you can achieve balance, even though the world is opening up and starting to increase the pace of life. So you can find your direction, find your balance through listening to Wayne Forrest and I in this incredible interview. So stay tuned. Here he is, Wayne. Top of the afternoon, Wayne Forrest. How are you today?
Great. Thanks, Anthony. And thank you for having me back again. It's always a pleasure. I really enjoy our little conversations around these topics.
It's been fantastic conversing with you. And for those that have missed our previous two episodes, they're episode 70 and episode 71. And we had a great chat about certainly Wayne shared his story, and he shared how people can discover new abilities and how they can thrive and create the best life they would like through his process. So he shared his process. So certainly tune in to episode number 70 and 71 if you haven't listened. And today we're going to be talking about balance, and balance in the context that I guess in a global sense, we're reopening in a big way, and things are starting to come back to more, well, I don't know whether you call it the new normal or some sort of normality. And there's a bit of anxiousness about that, getting back out into the community, particularly after what's been going around so ferociously. And there's certainly people at different ends of the spectrum. So some people have really embraced, I guess, the sudden change or the emerging change, and have really just gone gun-ho into more freedoms. And then others are a bit, you'd say, more gun-shy and have, taking a more steady, cautious approach. And so Wayne's going to be sharing with us, I guess, how can people find their balance and what works for them. So, Wayne, without much further ado, I certainly want you to give your perspective on this sense of how can people find balance amongst all this, I guess, still uncertainty and change.
I can't help myself, Anthony. I have to start with a bit of a joke. I'm a tetraplegic, so I'm a neck injury, and I've got absolutely no physical balance in my life. It doesn't take much for me to fall out of my wheelchair. So I just couldn't help myself. When you were talking about balance, but we're not talking about physical balance. We're talking about a balance of lifestyle and balance of bringing what we would love in our life and more of that and less of the other stuff that we don't want. And we have this ability to design our life or go through life by default. Now, what I mean by that is that we are really creative beings, right? If we decide to have a day in bed with the pillow over our head, running away from life, and that's what we create. We create a day in bed, away from life. So we are creative beings. It doesn't matter what we create. So why not create it by design? And most of us, until someone's actually said to you that you can create a life by design, most of us do it by default. We don't have a real plan. We spend more time planning the holiday or planning the night out with our mates, but we don't plan everything else. And so this is that idea. Then how would you love to create that spare time, that work balance, that family balance, that exercise balance, that food, healthy living balance? And I use my calendar to do this. I use that powerful question again that we've mentioned in the other 2 episodes of what would I love? What would I love for my exercise? Knowing what's going to be good for me. What would I, love to eat? Am I going to love to eat pies? Yes, I love my pie, right? But I know that that's not going to be great balance over time. And the end result is that I'm going to have rather a big tummy and struggling to do my day-to-day things, and my health is going to suffer for it. So it's everything in moderation, but we have this ability to design it. And so that's the first step, is understanding that we can design that balance in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really creating the blueprint of what people want in their lives, and they follow that blueprint every day, just like a construction of a building there's a plan, and all the builders, everyone, unites in terms of following that blueprint, and in the end, there's an amazing creation that's manifested from that original blueprint. And I remember, I think it was in episode. Oh, yeah, he's going to test me now. Episode 71, I think you mentioned that, well, it could be episode 70, but anyway, you could correct me. It was in that you said that everything is created twice. First we create it in our mind, and then it manifests physically. So that's exactly what you're letting the listeners know, is that they need to actually design the life that they want, as opposed to living it by default, where they just essentially living other people's lives.
Yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, what do we want to be like at 90 years of age, right? None of us know our time frame. Even though you might be given a diagnosis, you still don't really know what our death date is, right? So even if you've been told that, who says that isn't there a possibility that it can be even that you can beat whatever diagnosis you've got? So why not aim for something like 90 years of age or 100 years of age? Now, do you want to be the person who's eaten a lot of pies, which I love pies, I'll bring the pies up, right? In a wheelchair at 90, right? I'm not going to be very healthy. Right? So, we need that exercise. We know it's good for us. We know that the right diet is good for us. So why not design that and give ourselves power to aim at something? And of course, there's this patterning that we've all got that will drag us back to those old habits. But if we've got a nice, strong plan, then we've got something to aim at. And we can, if we do fall off the track, it's easier to just get up and get back on track. And there's a couple of things that we can talk about today, is about how do we, not make ourselves guilty for falling off the bandwagon. There's one thing that humans are really good at, is that we can beat ourselves up for having that pie, right? Yes, okay, you had the pie. Move on. Aim for the 90-year-old that's fit. Go and do extra steps, or make sure you have a salad for dinner, or just let it be and move on to your plan and move on to the next thing that is going to give you power in that plan.
Yeah, so what you're saying is to just get back on track, not beat yourself up, and just continue on that path towards that blueprint, and as opposed to just manifesting that negativity around, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have ate that pie. That pie's, this is why I'm fat, and and they keep doing this, I guess, rumination about these negative thoughts, which really then just takes them further off track as opposed to bringing them back on track. Have you got any thoughts around, in the previous episode, you mentioned those areas of our life and to rate yourself in those areas and then start working a plan to get that area back on track or to where you want it to be, as to this is what I desire. So therefore, these are the actions I'm going to take to get me to that. And I remember you mentioned relationships in the previous episode. So in order to create that blueprint, do you suggest your clients to start with that sort of that circle of life or those segments of life, and then really look at each of those segments, say whether it be financial, I want to retire by the age of 50, or want to be safely, have my finances safely secured by such and such an age. I want to have an incredible marriage and so many children, and this is what marriage looks like to me, and this is how I want my children to grow up, and then in other career and vocation sectors. Is that what you suggest in terms of where clients start with their blueprint?
Beautiful, mate, and totally. It's looking at those 4 sections, and they were relationships, health and well-being, vocation or your expression, which can be art, monetizing art and music and things like that, or your career, job, a business, whatever that is for vocation. And then, of course, that time and money freedom. And if you do rate yourself and then what would you really love in that area, that gives you a real strong plan. And we were talking about this before, getting back to that balance idea then is a great way to, I've got a big wall calendar. I've got my Google calendar as well. And between the two, I use that really well to create that balance in my life. A calendar is underestimated, right? And on the big wall one, the first thing I put up there is those family things, those holidays, the things that matter to me a lot. Like I've got my son's in a rugby tournament this weekend, right? And that's big for me. I love my kids' sport. So that's the first thing that goes on my calendar. I will shift work. I will do whatever I can so I get to my kids' sport. It doesn't matter if it's netball, rugby, cricket, whatever it is, right? That is big on my list. And holidays are big on my list with my family. And then my self-learning and my fitness. So I'm looking after number 1 first, and my family. They're very even, right? And then I have my work. I'm lucky. I'm self-employed, doing this stuff so I can work my calendar around that. Where some people have to be a 9-to-5 job, but if that's the case, make sure that you and your family, or those things that you hold dear to your heart, go in there first, straight after that 9-to-5 job. And then those other things, maybe it's some education or self-education, put that in there. Those things that matter to you, that is going to grow you as a person. It's too easy to blame all the outside circumstances going on, But if we look after number one and create a good place for ourselves to live and be in here in our mind first, that's going to have a huge impact on our family, our jobs, and our communities. So we can use that calendar to really create that balance.
As they say, if you don't look after yourself, then you can't best serve others. You need to be in an optimal condition in order to, I guess, give the best care, best support to those around you in terms of mentally and physically. And obviously, in your circumstances, there's some limitations around that physical side, but you obviously work within those limitations to serve your family and your community the best way that you can. So just in terms of, you mentioned the calendar and then blocking out those musts. It's not, shoulds or coulds. They're essentially the musts. Like I must attend my, son's rugby game. I must attend my daughter's netball game. And, I must spend valuable, important time with family. And then there's, so that's how you, I guess, set out that week. And then obviously you've got your vocation in there in terms of your work that, goes in between or around those sort of things. What happens because what I find, particularly now that we're coming in or out of this restriction, so we've been typically, here in Sydney, and I can't speak for, certainly in Hawke's Bay, you haven't had much of an issue at all. But here in Sydney, we've had over 106 days of restrictions, and we can't go to the pub, we can't have people over to our house. And now that these restrictions have lifted, people are just that they're just so keen to get back to the pub and so keen to have people over. And as humans, we generally just go to the other extreme. We just want every weekend I'm going to go to the pub, every Friday, Saturday night, and then I'll have friends over and we're just going to be partying until the body can no longer party. How do you curtail that, or how do you moderate that? You got any tips around that?
Well, it's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice. And with my background and my past, I definitely have been a big drinker in my past. And the more I've got centered and done this work, the less I need the alcohol or other influences in my life. And that is because I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm comfortable with myself. And so a little bit different, Anthony, that question, by working on yourself, I don't need to overdo it in the influences that I would have had to or did, especially in the first 10 years of after my accident. I drank heavily because that was my coping mechanism. So, I'm definitely speaking from experience of drinking until my body kind of said, really, come on, you've had enough of this. This is not good. And so, if you are needing to drink or do stuff excessively, where you're having a constant hangover the next day, why? I'd be asking why. Be curious about that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I'm saying that there's a reason why you have to get shit-faced every week or every weekend. And what is that reason? And when I've explored this question with most people, it's because I want to, I'm not feeling, let's get drunk, let's get drunk so, I don't feel, I can be free, or I can be free and I can be who I truly am. Guess what? If you give yourself more love, I can be free. I can be truly who I truly am without the alcohol. And yes, I enjoy a nice glass of red wine now and then, or a gin, or a glass of beer, or a bottle of beer. But I haven't had a hangover for the last 5 years or 6 years, if not 10. And that's because I've done a lot of work on myself, and I don't actually need the alcohol to give me a false, or to bring out my personality. Yeah, it's a little bit different answer than what you might have expected, but I do think that we use alcohol and drugs and those things to put a mask on of who we truly are, and of course we're free, and we can take that mask off when we're drunk, or when we're stoned or high, or whatever that is.
Yeah, so it's that lack of self-acceptance, isn't it? Or not knowing what you want in life. Like, as you said, if you had the blueprint's clear to a person, then they're on track. Their compass is pointing in the right direction, and they're following that path. And then if people ask them, "Oh, do you want to do this?" and then they can say, "Does this align to my path? Is this sort of a deviation that I want, or is it going to help me to get to where I want to?" And then it's easier at that point, that junction, to say yes or no, because they know where true north is. Whereas what essentially what you're saying is, when you're lost and you have no blueprint, and I think this is what you probably experienced after your accident, because I remember in that first episode you mentioned how your whole life evolved around physical abilities, and everything was physical. You were a strong man, strong farmer, you loved playing rugby, you loved going out with the mates, and then when that was all taken away from you, you're sort of thinking, well, what's there left? And I think that's probably what you went through over that 10 years post the accident, was just rediscovering that blueprint for yourself, essentially. And I think that's where some people can get disorientated when it comes to opening up, is that they just go from this person asking them to this thing, they go to that, and then there's someone else asks them to another event or party, they go to that, and they just keep running around, and they're sort of looking for something, or something, and as you said, they could be escaping from something, but essentially they don't have that blueprint as where they want to take their life. Because I certainly remember from my days when I was an athlete that I wanted that goal. I wanted to achieve that goal, and I knew that a night out with the mates was just going to take me further away from that goal. So it was just an easy no. Whereas I can imagine if I didn't have that goal, I'd just go, yeah, why not? I've got nothing else to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that comes back to that beautiful question of, if you ask yourself enough of what would I really love, like none of the bullshit that's going around us, pardon my language, but there's so much crap out there that we aren't meant to be like everyone else. We are individuals having this experience as humans, right? And it's our expression of that. So when you really ask yourself, what would I love for my life? Even if you don't know it, or you don't feel like you've got that direction, if you really concentrate on asking that question, even if you have to ask it day after day until you do find it, it will come to you. And then all of a sudden you have a burning desire, like your sport. You have a burning goal. You want to be here. You want to give to society and community and family, because you are passionate about creating something. and it's in line with who you are because you've asked yourself that powerful question.
Yeah, and it really gets back to that person asking themselves why. Why are they doing this to themselves? And further, I guess there's a few more whys to get down to that deeper meaning and uncovering why they might be self-sabotaging themselves, or why they are putting on that persona each time and then still unhappy with that persona because they're not their true self and they haven't discovered their true self. And it begs the question when I hear about this persona and people putting on masks and they're not accepting who they are, is that is it because they want to be someone else? Because constantly, if you look at social media feeds, you see this successful person or this beautiful person, and they're thinking, I want to be that person because they've had success, or they got this huge following, or they attract all the girls, or they attract all the men, or depending on which side of the fence you sit on. But what have you got to say around that in terms of that self-acceptance and not comparing yourself to others? Because you also mentioned that everyone's completely unique and special and has special abilities.
And I think that's it. We talk about the paradigm of thinking, right? And because our paradigms of thinking is made up of beliefs and what we've been taught in this lifetime, and we've been patterned with these different belief systems, right? You've got a belief system that is unique also to your family and a way of upbringing. And see, in society at the moment, we've got all these people believing that they're meant to be like the Smiths next door, right? Or that person, or that person, or that person. Because on the outside, they look like they've got a lot of fame, or they're doing extremely well. Guess what, guys? Most of them have got the same problem as you have. They're worried about what you're thinking, and they want what Joe Smith has got next door as well, right? If we can strip that and be curious around that and ask ourselves, what would I love? And I know I keep banging on about this bloody powerful question, but it is so bloody powerful, because what would you love for your life? Not Joe Smith or what my old teacher said about me, or what my parents always wanted for me. It's what you would love. And if you can really hone in on that, oh my God, all of a sudden life gets a hell of a lot easier, because you're going after something that is your uniqueness, your unique skill, your unique expression, because we all have this beautiful expression that is unique to us. No one speaks like me. No one speaks like Anthony. No one can express themselves like me or you, right? They might get close. And there's people out there waiting for your personal expression, your way of saying things. And they can't wait for you. And actually, an old mentor, I can't remember who actually told me, but they said, there's this longing. We've got this longing in our lives. There's this part of us that is wanting something in us. And there's this discontent of where we are always. There's that growth, seeking to express through us. So in other words, it's the same as a piece of grass, how that grass can press through concrete, through a crack. There's life saying, grow, grass, grow, grow. It's the same for us individually, I believe, right? So if you're feeling like there's discontent in your life and there's longing in your life, guess what? You're normal. Yeah? And so you've got this life pulling you to grow like that piece of grass.
That's a beautiful analogy, expression of life, in a sense that, that we all the time in life, there's going to be challenges or glass ceilings or things that get in the way of us wanting to, achieve what our blueprint is or our goal. And it's that burning desire, and the strength of that burning desire is, I guess, as you said, it's how clear it is as to what you want. And if that's crystal clear, then there's going to be so much strength behind that bit of grass to bust through that and to continue to survive. Whereas if it's not crystal clear, I guess then, there's that thing of discontentment and thinking there must be something better, and I'll put on this mask and I might feel better if I put on this mask tonight. But then afterwards they think, no, I still feel the same and nothing's changed. I'm just changing masks. So I really love that analogy that you shared in terms of, yes, we all have that underlying desire, which is completely normal. It's just what we use that desire for and that's comes back to that initial question that you keep asking is, what is it that you desire, and pursue it. And you've got this challenge coming up. So, and I, looking at the challenge and being a registered participant of your challenge, it seems to help people really find this. What do people really want, right?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, we look at that awareness of how this works. In the first day, we're going to look at that, as well as that vision. What would I love, and getting clear on that. And then we're going to look at the second day a couple of things that can stop us doing that. And one of them is, and I'll use a quote from my mentor, Mary Morrissey, and she says, when we don't act on our dream, it's merely, I've got that totally wrong now. I have to, when we don't act, it's just entertainment. That's the word I was looking for. Right. So we're letting life just go by us if we don't act. So we're going to look at how you can start becoming that person in the dream. And then the last day, we're going to do a little bit of coaching, and also look at that part of us that is afraid to break out of our box. And our dream is quite often on the other side of that box. As someone said, the directions are never inside the box, are always on the outside. So we must break out of that box to get our dream.
Awesome. So if you're keen to break out of your box and chase that dream of yours, and Wayne's even going to help you define what that dream looks like for you, will help you, I guess, go through the process for your self-discovery of that dream, and then help you break out of your box. So certainly suggest you sign up to Wayne's challenge and go along for the journey. Particularly, it'll help you define your blueprint and follow a path that you're going to love, and you won't need to put on masks and personas and whatnot, and you'll be a fulfilled person. So when does this challenge start, Wayne, and how can people register?
Yeah, mate, there'll be a link on Facebook. It's a Facebook free challenge, and it's 3 days. So it starts on the 17th of October at 10 a.m. In New Zealand time. So it's not too bad for Sydney. I think it's about 8 a.m., is it? And it'll go for roughly an hour, and it'll do that for the next 2 days after that as well. Come and join us. It's going to be fun. And I'm sure that they'll go away learning some real powerful tools.
Awesome. Yeah, so join Wayne and myself on this challenge, and look forward to seeing you on it and thriving during this challenge period. So I'll put the link in the show notes, so you can go directly to the show notes, click on the link, and register for the challenge. Have you got any concluding words you'd like to part on, with the listeners?
Yeah, mate. Just be curious. Stay curious. Ask yourself different questions. Like if you are one of those people that are having to go out and overdo it with alcohol, or just are really unhappy, in your life, then just be curious. Why does it have to be this way?
Fantastic concluding words, and I really appreciate you putting aside the time over the last 3 episodes, and certainly persevering with me through the technical glitches. So we had some certainly technical issues on the first 2 episodes, and we managed to nail it on the 3rd. So just like that grass persists to break through the crack, certainly Wayne lives that philosophy, and he's persisted with me, because he could have certainly ditched me after the first technical issues on my side, and certainly not on his side. So he certainly persisted and said it was just meant to happen. And yes, we've developed a great relationship from this. He's given you so much wonderful words of advice on life and how you can improve your own life. So suggest you follow Wayne, take up his challenge, and reach out to him. Certainly reach out to Wayne if you need some coaching or further support, because that's what he does for a living. That's his vocation, is to help others thrive and live the life that they want to live. So certainly Wayne can be contacted in the show notes as well. So thanks again, Wayne. I really, really appreciate this persistence and perseverance as you've shown to me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. It's been a pleasure, mate. It's just nice to meet another good-hearted bloke who wants to make a difference in the world. So thank you for being you, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Wayne. And for the listeners, I've really hoped you've enjoyed the episode. And if you haven't listened to the previous 2, listen to them, because Wayne shares so many gems of knowledge on how you can be the best version of yourselves. And stay tuned for more insightful episodes of Me and My Health Up.